behalf of Gwen and the family, I want to thank all of you for coming to participate today. This is a sad time, but it's also a celebration of life. A celebration of a man who lived a very full and rewarding life. Leaving Canada, coming to America, bringing his lovely bride, starting families, starting careers, many things, becoming a Mason, the different organizations within Masonry. But you're also, if you're not a Mason, you're going to be seeing some things today that are part of Masonry that are important to us. We communicate utilizing ceremonies and rituals. In our rituals, we use things called symbols. A symbol is something for which we ascribe a meaning which does not have a single unique meaning. It has an emotional meaning. So, for example, a wedding ring is not just a sign that you're married, it's a symbol of your marriage. Nobody can tell about your marriage by looking at it, but if you look at your own ring, it will tell you stories and impart feelings within you that you could never describe. It's an emotional inside thing that nobody else can understand. In Masonry, we utilize similar symbols to teach these lessons, to help make good men even better. I'll draw your attention to these two stones over here. There's a rough one and a very smooth one. In our Masonic journey, which will come to play and I'll be inviting everybody to participate in, a man when he becomes a Mason is told he's a rough ashlar, and he will, in his Masonic life, ascribe to become a perfect person. Has anybody ever reached perfection? No. So when I ask men, so which one of these are you? They say, well, I'm the rough ashlar. And I said, you haven't learned anything? Well, yeah, I have, and they have to realize that they're not that one, but they're not this one. They are, as you may have heard, the dash between the dates. And it's a beautiful poem. I encourage you to read it sometime. You are the dash between the dates of Don's birth and his passing. You are the dash. You are the fill-in of the stories that Gwen doesn't know about, or Audrey, or Tom. And I encourage you, a little bit later, to be aware of how important you were to Don and to Gwen, and to share these stories. Because similar to the dash between those stones, you are the dash that fills in and binds together your lives. And that's what makes family and community. Don wore a number of hats, some of which are representative here. This is his Knights Templars hat. He got this initially in the Scottish Rite as a 32nd degree, and then he was invited to partake in another level, and now he finally was a white hat, correct? A white hat is one of the highest degrees in Masonry. That's a 33rd degree Mason. Strictly honorary, you can't petition for it. These are representative of some of the different things in his life. You'll also see them outside. These symbols, these objects have a symbolic meaning, and they were powerful to him. They motivated him to lead the life that he did. And so today we'll be performing with the family a Masonic service a little bit later, but right now I would invite everybody to pause and join me in the word of prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day of sharing, this day of family, this day of community. Sharing and honoring the life of a man who lived the highest of honors. He lived respected, and he has passed regretted. I thank you for a man whose heart and commitment to making the world a better place touched so many lives, such that they have traveled far to be here today. I thank you for honoring their commitment and their love for this man. I thank you for a good ceremony and service ahead, and I thank you for this. In your name, amen. From time immemorial, it has been the custom of the Society of Friends of Masons, upon proper request, to accompany the remains of a brother to his final resting place. In conformity with these ancient charges and regulations, we are gathered together as family and friends to pay tribute to and honor the memory of a man, as I said before, who lived the highest of Masonic expectations. Very simply, he lived respected, and he has passed regretted.
Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I am tired, I am weak, I am worn. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. When my way grows drear, precious Lord, linger near. When my life is almost gone, hear my cry, hear my call. Hold my hand, lest I fall. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. When the darkness appears and the night draws near, and the day is past and gone, at the river I stand, guide my feet, hold my hand, take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home.
We'll now hear from Carol.
Don't grieve for me, for now I'm free. I'm following the path God laid for me. I took his hand when I heard him call. I turned my back and I left it all. I could not stay another day to laugh, to love, to work or play. Tasks undone must stay that way. I found that peace at close of day. If my parting has left a void, then fill it with remembered joy. A friendship shared, a laugh, a kiss. Ah, yes, those things I too will miss. Be not burdened with times of sorrow. I wish you the sunshine of tomorrow. My life's been full, love savored much, good friends, good times, a loved one's touch. Perhaps my time seem all too brief. Don't lengthen it now with undue grief. Lift up your hearts and share with me. God wanted me now, he set me free.
You have an insert. And family is requesting that whether you believe you're gifted or not, please join in and join us with in the garden.
I come to the garden alone, while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses.
My dad's sister wasn't able to be here today. She lives in Minneapolis, Minnesota, or close to there. But she did send a letter. She often wrote to my dad, and really, really lovely letters about her, just the way her life is now and memories that they had together. And she asked us to read this letter, the last letter that she wrote to him today. So she wrote, "Dear Don, I write you today as I have in the past several months, not knowing if you understand what I say. I've tried to spark a memory or two from our past because I have been told that you are aware of Isabel. It saddens me that you have passed, that you had to suffer. Since we moved away from one another, our face-to-face contact has been infrequent, so I'll write about Spencer's of many years ago. Aaron Street was it for most of our childhood. Our folks provided for us as best they could, and all three of us went on to have productive lives. I admire your strength in making the move from the snow and cold after having learned a trade, on Aaron Street no less. However, in my darkest hour, it was you and Bob who were quickly at my side. I am forever grateful." Bob was their brother. Alas, our house on Aaron Street is no more. Brian took a picture, and the area is totally industrial now. Like everything else, Winnipeg moves on. My love to Gwen and the girls. Love from your favorite sister, Isabel. So she's going to be getting a copy of the service, so I know she'll be really happy that that was included. So I'm so honored to provide you with this eulogy for my father, Donald James Spencer. In the course of his 90 years, it is difficult to highlight his qualities in a few paragraphs, but I'm going to try. And I may read, because it's a lot. But the first thing that Dad would want me to say is thank you to all of you for being here. Some of us here had the pleasure of celebrating his 90th birthday with him this year in January. And the hallmark for me was how gracious he was, even though it was difficult for him to understand his situation. He was so gracious in expressing his appreciation to everyone who came and for attending. It was so beautiful. And so I wanted you all to know how grateful we are, the family, for all of you have made the effort to travel short and long distances to celebrate his life. He would be really happy. His was a life of perseverance, resilience, and kindness. I witnessed that his path in life took him ever further into service and graciousness. Those who knew him well experienced this time and again as his dedication to his family, work, church, and service expanded throughout his life. In his youth in Canada, he experienced the dichotomy of life in the city contrasted by summers and Christmas break on the farm. He learned the benefit of hard work in both arenas, and this became a cornerstone of his foundation. A child of the Depression, he knew the challenges of making ends meet at a young age. Dad was a city boy who also learned the benefit of physical labor. Milking cows and baling hay must have made the school year feel like a luxurious life. Dad always had a strong work ethic that carried over to whatever he did. Dad and my mother met at Chalmers Church in Winnipeg and eventually were married there. They were married just short of 69 years. Their early married life presented many challenges, hard for most of us to imagine now. I think it was only in the last few years that I realized that one of their first homes did not have indoor plumbing. There are so many stories related to this experience, but one that demonstrates my dad's ability to be lighthearted when times are tough comes to mind. One night, when walking a babysitter home, a cat slipped in through the door. I think most of you know how my mother feels about cats. Not enamored of them. And she has to see a lot of them now. So it of course wasn't their cat. Upon his return, prior to coming through the door, he opened the door and threw his hat in first to test her mood. I can just see the smile on his face when he did this, as most of us saw it many times throughout his life, a very mischievous grin. Mom has told me that that was a thing guys did then when they knew someone might be angry with them, was they gave it that first salve of getting their hat in the room. Mom and Dad persevered through those difficult times, eventually making the decision to take the risk of immigrating to the U.S. to find literal greener, especially warmer pastures. It's hard to imagine the courage it took to immigrate 3,000 miles from home to Southern California, where they knew only one person. They were a young family of 4, and they went on the bus, no less. En route, Dad got to join the other men on the bus in getting out to push the bus out of a snowdrift. 5 days later, Santa Monica, for us Canadians, the promised land. From there, life, work, family, church, and eventually service through his dedication to the Masons. He spent over 30 years at the Daily News, and there was able to grow his talent for electronics, progressing from linotype operator to machinist, and then evolving into a technician for the early computerized operations of newspaper production, rooms full of computers. Dad was one of the earliest nerds, and I believe he had the pocket protector to match. I remember it. Dad and Mom made their life in the San Fernando Valley for almost 60 years. Dad was known as a pillar of the church. Our childhood was measured by the building of the new church, where they remain members today. Dad spent his weekends assisting with the building and maintenance of the property and his ongoing participation in the choir. When he made a commitment to support a community or a group, there was no halfway. He gave of his energy fully to the best of his ability. He later expanded his love of community and service to his membership in Masonic organizations, supporting them through his willingness to lead and consistently participate. His ability to lead by example and with humility have been an inspiration. Any synopsis of my father's qualities would have to include his ability to be lighthearted and his sense of humor. One notable example is that of my father being game for the creative ideas that my mom would come up with for costumes. I fondly remember one Halloween. I'm not sure whose idea it was, when Dad dressed up as the Jolly Green Giant and my mother dressed as a sprout. Unfortunately, I don't think we have that picture in the slideshow. These, if you don't know, were popular characters in a frozen vegetable commercial at the time. Dressed in green tights and a felt tunic of my mother's design, my mother as a sprout to his giant, they were quite a duo. He was so willing to team with my mom to make a fun occasion even more so. And we saw him do this again and again. It might be odd to say, but my dad also initiated me to the benefits of gallows humor. In saying this, I mean that he demonstrated that when times are tough, we can look for the humor in a situation to help move ourselves forward and not get stuck in our difficulties. Once we can remember to smile, there may be an opportunity to see a way out of a challenging situation. He worked hard, he stayed focused, and he remembered to see the light side, a strength that took him far. Most of you know this too. My dad could fix anything. Like, really. If he didn't know how to fix it, he would figure it out. And this was in the absence of Google or YouTube, no matter how many trips to the hardware store it took. And he would always step up to help if he could. It was a passion for him. Cars, plumbing, electricity, construction. When Dad came to visit, we made a list of projects for him to help us complete. He would tick them off. That was his hobby, making things work better for the people that he loved. And he loved technology, not only in his work but at home. As soon as anything remote was available, he was installing it at our house. We had a TV with a remote in 1960. I think that's the first year they were available. Oh, what? The tuning fork? Oh, yeah, very different from what we have now. We had a microwave as soon as they came out and remote time sprinklers to water the lawn. I remember being his assistant to install them. I might have been 10 at the time. Part of his contribution to the church and his Masonic organizations was his computer expertise. While we were all becoming aware of the possibilities of the PC, Dad was installing 3 or 4 of them in his office with numerous printers to produce the variety of letters and directories that were required to maintain communication for the groups to which he was so dedicated. He was tireless in producing a quality product to provide to the members of the group so that they could stay informed and involved. It was sad for me that Dad did not get to engage in our current technology that we all benefit from now. When I took his hard drive to be recycled, I spoke with the technician about Dad's love of computers and his early involvement. And he understood and commented that Dad would have loved the technology that we have now. He loved to see things on the smartphone, and I knew that he wished that he could operate one. 28 years of my dad's life were lived after his retirement in 1992, almost a third of his life. During this time, in addition to his service with the church and the Masons, he was able to travel with Mom, both with their motorhome and internationally. Dad was always a curious guy, and their travel was a wonderful reward for all of their hard work together. In this short synopsis, I've only been able to touch on a few highlights of his life. I would be remiss, though, if I did not remark on how much my dad loved family. Perhaps because he was often a man of few words, it's something I was not entirely aware of in my youth, maybe because he was such a hard worker and was sometimes gone a lot. Later, though, I came to understand how important family was to him and how primarily his hard work and dedication were a demonstration of his original commitment to his family and their well-being. As he became more frail and his dementia progressed, the one thing that he was focused on was being with his family. He didn't get the memo that he was supposed to be sick. Rather, he kept his focus on his love of family, especially his wife, and his desire to be with her. They were quite a team and a life well lived. So, thank you.
Josh. Almighty and eternal God, in whom we live and move and have our being, we beseech thee to be present with us in this hour and during all the days of our earthly life. Lead us by the hand of love, point out to us the pathway of duty, pour out thy continual blessing upon the relatives and friends of our departed brother. Lead them to know that he is waiting to greet them in a world where light and bliss are eternal. Grant us thy divine assurance, O most merciful God, to redeem our misspent time, and in the important duties which thou hast assigned us in the erection of our spiritual temple, give us wisdom to direct us, strength to support us, and the beauty of holiness to adorn our labors and render them acceptable in thy sight, so that when our labors here on earth are ended, we may be with thee amidst the radiant splendor of eternal truth. Amen.
So moved it be.
Brother Senior Warden, in this hour of sorrow, what duties to fall upon us as Masons?
To honor the memory of a brother whom death has taken from us, to contemplate our own approaching dissolution, and by the remembrance of immortality, to raise our souls above the considerations of this transitory existence.
Brother Junior Warden, what sentiments should inspire the souls of Masons on occasions like the present?
Calm sorrow for the absence of a brother gone before, earnest solicitude for our own eternal welfare, and firm faith in the wisdom and goodness of the great architect of the universe.
Brother Secretary, has a scroll been prepared that the memory of our brother may not depart from us?
It is hereon written, and shall also be preserved in our archives,
Scroll in memory, Brother Donald J. Spencer, who passed June 23rd, 2018. Once again, a brother Mason, having completed the designs laid down upon life's trestle board, has answered the last summons of the Grand Warden of Heaven and entered that celestial lodge above over whom which the Supreme Architect of the universe presides. Though our beloved and respected brother has passed through the portals of eternity, his memory remains to inspire us to live respected and die regretted. Twilight and evening fell, and after that the dark. And may there be no sadness of farewell when I embark. Brother Donald J. Spencer was initiated and entered apprentice Mason on March 13th, 1973, passed as a fellow craft on May 15th, 1973, and raised to the sublime degree of a Master Mason on September 25th, 1973. As a mark of respect to the memory of our departed brother, and as a token of our sympathy with his family and friends, it is ordered that this memorial be filed in the archives of Van Nuys Lodge number 450, free and accepted Masons of California, and a copy be sent to his bereaved relatives. Signed, William Mazur-Dijon, Secretary, and Harry Kapushkian, Worshipful Master.
O thou that hearest prayer, unto thee shall all flesh come. Let thy mercy, O Lord, be upon us according as we hope in thee. Amen.
So might it be. What man is he that liveth and shall not see death?
Man walketh in a vain shadow. He heapeth up riches and cannot tell who shall gather them.
When he dies, he shall carry nothing away. His glory shall not descend after him.
If a man die, shall he live again?
And they that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake.
And ye shall know that I am the Lord when I have brought you up out of your graves.
Where now is our departed brother?
He is gone to that undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveler returns.
Can we offer any precious thing to redeem him?
We have not the ransom. The place that knew him shall know him no more forever.
When our brother died, did he carry nothing away with him?
He has fulfilled his destiny. Naked came he into the world, and naked he has departed out of it.
Hear then the conclusion of the whole matter. It is the Lord only who can give, and it is the Lord who hath taken away.
I am the resurrection and the life, saith the Lord. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live, and whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die.
In 1973, Brother Don was made an entered apprentice Mason. It's the beginning of the journey. And you were there. What was said to him is similar to this. My brother, I now present you with this white leather lambskin apron. It is an emblem of innocence and the badge of a Mason. It is more ancient than the than the golden fleece or the Roman eagle, and when worthily worn, more honorable than the starry garter or any other order which can be conferred upon you at this time or any future time by any man, whether he be king, president, prince, potentate, or any other man, unless he be a brother Mason. It is yours, and it is hoped that you will wear it through an honorable life, both to your pleasure and to the honor of the fraternity. It is yours to wear throughout this life, and upon your passing it is to be placed with your mortal remains in their final resting place. May its pure and spotless surface be an ever-present reminder of a rectitude of life and quality of character, an ever-present reminder of a rectitude of conduct,
Never-ending inspiration.
a never-ending inspiration for nobler deeds, for higher thoughts, for greater achievements, and when at last your weary feet shall have passed to life's toilsome journey, May its pure and spotless surface be a reminder of your life. May it be an ever-present reminder of your life upon this earth. And this is what was placed upon him.
The evergreen, which once marked the temporary resting place of one illustrious in Masonic legend, is an emblem of our faith in the immortality of the soul. By it, we are reminded that we have an imperishable, immortal spirit, which survives this death and which will never, never, never die. By it we are admonished that we too, like our brother whose remains now lie before us, shall soon be clothed in the habiliments of death, yet through the loving kindness of the Supreme Grand Master, we may definitely hope that our souls will hereafter nourish in eternal spring.
Would all Masons in the room please be upstanding? I will go first, the senior and junior warden after me, you two, and if you can take the last one upon my leave, brothers. His spirit has ascended on high. His body we commit to the earth. His memory we shall cherish forever. His spirit has ascended on high. His body we commit to the earth. His memory we cherish forever. His spirit has ascended on high. His body we commit to the earth. His memory we shall cherish forever. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, earth to earth. Reverently, we commit the body of our brother to the grave, earth to earth, ash to ashes, dust to dust, dust to dust. Though our brother has passed beyond our mortal view, yet we can trustingly leave him in the hands of a beneficent being who doeth all things well, who is glorious in his holiness, wondrous in his power, and boundless in his goodness and love. Soft and safe to thee, my brother, be this earthly bed, fragrant be the acacia that here shall bloom. May the year's earliest buds unfold their beauties o'er this thy resting place. May each springtime renew their loveliness, and here may the sweetness of the summer's last rose linger longest. With firm faith and reliance in the Supreme Grand Master of the universe, we know that we shall meet once more in realms beyond the skies. Until then, dear friend and brother, until then, farewell.
Let us pray. The Lord bless us and keep us. The Lord make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. The Lord lift upon us the light of his countenance and give us peace. Amen.
Motion might be. Tom, are you ready?
Just want to read the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Y'all did magnificent the first time. We now have another song. Amazing Grace.